I want to go across to our National Bureau Chief Abhishek Bhalla, who's been a defense correspondent for many, many years as well. Abhishek, Mission 470, very, very promising. 12 months from now is when the first LCA Tejas Mark 1A, which the Air Force is looking forward to, will be delivered. And thereafter, the ball will be set rolling for what is hoped to be something that truly creates an industrial base for completely Indian military aviation.
Shiv, if you ask me, the big thrust on self-reliance and Aatmanirbharta that this government is following, but the biggest litmus test is perhaps manufacturing of fighter jets. This is that threshold, probably the final frontier that needs to be conquered. We are on the right path. But deadlines is something which is extremely crucial. And I'll tell you why. Because the depleting strength of the Indian Air Force is something which is extremely concerning. We're down to 30 squadrons against the sanctioned 42. Each squadron has 18 fighter aircraft. So you can well imagine, in terms of numbers, the Indian Air Force is lagging behind. Now, the 470 that we are talking about in the next decade or so, these are in addition to the 114 that Indian Air Force already requires. For these 114, the players are foreign manufacturers. So clearly, the Indian Air Force is looking at a blend of foreign jets as well as indigenous made in India jets. And once that blend is prepared, that's when the Indian Air Force will truly be modernized. The thrust is on 5th and 6th generation technology, as the Air Force Chief told Manjeet Negi. And out of these 470, 370 are for the Indian Air Force and 100 for the Navy. Now remember, Shiv, even the LCA for the Navy has shown a lot of concerns. So a lot of catching up needs to be done there as well. All in all, very promising, as you said, but deadlines is a major factor.
Absolutely. Cost and time overruns will be unacceptable, because these are complicated programs and India has had a long time to prove itself capable of developing, a competent fighter aircraft. It has done so with the Tejas, and that's the reason why the Indian Air Force will have a much smaller threshold and margin for tolerance for delays and cost overruns. So Abhishek Bhalla is absolutely right when he says now is the litmus test. The HAL and DRDO have had all that experience. Mission 470 needs to fire on all cylinders from the get-go. There will be very little margin for error that the Indian Air Force will allow. Abhishek, stay with me. Because India Today's defense correspondent Akshay Dongre, who happens to be at the Aero India show right now, caught up with the man actually overseeing the development of many of these fighter aircraft. From the LCA Mark II to the 5th generation stealth fighter AMCA to the TED BF for the Indian Navy's aircraft carriers. His name is Girish Devdare. He's the Director General of the Aeronautical Development Agency, or ADA, in Bengaluru. Watch this conversation. It's an exclusive.
We have AMCA in development. Where are we at the development phase, and by what time can we expect a prototype production?
Yes. So AMCA has been in development for quite some time. In fact, the design started in 2009, and there were a lot of challenges in AMCA because you cannot ask a foreign country for these technologies. They are never shared. So as was mentioned by DG NSM, the materials, the stealth materials for AMCA have now been developed. We are sure what material will be used in what part, and all those are qualified. So that's a very important achievement. So the aircraft design is also complete now. How we are going to get the stealth and how the design is, how we are fitting all the parts together. So we have reached that stage where we are at the critical design review, where the design is now complete 100%. See, what happens in the 5th generation aircraft is the emphasis is more on stealth than aerodynamics. However, a naval aircraft has to come and land on the carrier, where aerodynamics becomes critical. So we weighed the two, and we are going for a 5-. So it's not a 4th generation aircraft, right? It's a 5-. So other than the stealth shaping, which spoils the aerodynamics to a large extent, it is effectively having all the 5th generation technologies. Tejas Mark II we are expecting very fast. In about 5 years, we should start the production. And that we are confident, because the path is clear.
So very heartening word there from the man literally controlling the timelines on these fighter developments to make Mission 470 a success. Akshay, who just had that conversation with Girish Deodare, is with me live from the Aero India show in Bengaluru. Akshay, Mission 470 is by far India's most ambitious Aatmanirbhar push in the space of combat aircraft. You've been speaking to the very people who will be pulling the strings and making it a success. What's the sense that you're getting?
Mission 470 is going to bring new dawn for the Indian Air Force, as the Indian Air Force is expecting new fighter aircrafts to help with the falling number of the squadron strength. According to the Indian Air Force officials, the sanctioned squadron strength is, as we know, 42 squadrons. However, we are right now at 31, and to help replenish the falling squadron strength, there is going to be 470 aircraft that will be inducted into the Indian Air Force. As far as the deliveries are concerned, it will start from February next year, and the first aircraft in line will be Tejas Mark 1A, which is going to be a highly sophisticated aircraft built on the original platform of Tejas. However, it is going to be much more superior, much more faster and stronger than the original Tejas. The second aircraft is going to be Tejas Mark 2, and according to the Aeronautical Development Agency, the production of Tejas Mark 2 will start around in 5 years, and the number of Tejas Mark 2 that we are expecting in our inventory is 108 aircraft. Besides the 83 Tejas Mark 1A and Tejas Mark 2, there is going to be the ambitious plan of the Indian Air Force becoming reality with AMCA being developed by the Aeronautical Development Agency. Now, according to the ADA, the first prototype of AMCA is expected to roll out in 4 years, and after permission, the production can in fact begin in the next 10 years, which is going to bring a huge fighting technology for the Indian Air Force, as the AMCA is a 5th generation stealth aircraft, and it is going to have all the cutting-edge technologies that the world's leading powers have. The fourth aircraft that will also come to the inventory of the Indian Armed Forces is going to be TED-BF, which is going to be a carrier-based fighter, and that is also going to be a very superior aircraft, though according to ADA, while the airframe is not supportive of stealth capabilities, but the materials, the composites that will be used in TED-BF will be similar to that of AMCA.
Absolutely.
Which means that the TED-BF, while it will not be completely stealth, but most of the materials used in the aircraft will be stealthy, and that means that TED-BF will almost be a 5th generation carrier-based aircraft for our forces. So 470 aircraft being inducted into the Indian Air Force is going to significantly boost our fighting edge over several other countries, as well as it will strengthen the defense of our country as well as the strength of the Indian Air Force.
I want to bring Abhishek Bhalla back in on this, because, you know, Abhishek, the Indian Air Force has, constantly been accused over many years of, preferring to import aircraft, not really showing enough support for indigenous platforms like the Tejas, even though the Tejas is now in service. It looks like in the last few years that has changed quite visibly, Abhishek. Now the Indian Air Force is fully ready. Fully ready to support an Indian system, because they see the benefits, they see the technology maturing, and they know that they will not get the best from abroad.
Very big question, Shiv. Will the Indian Air Force, not just the Air Force, but will the armed forces continue to sort of reinforce their belief in Indian-made systems? This is something that was not happening earlier. Every time an Indian platform was on offer, the Indian forces, for some reason or the other, either found faults with it, or sort of said that a foreign system is better, and this was happening even with the fighter aircraft, and that's the reason why there was a big thrust on first LCA Tejas, and now on Mark 1A, Mark 2, later AMCA. It seems that the Indian Air Force has in fact realized that at some point of time they'll be better off if they use Indian jets. And in fact, the previous Indian Air Force chief, Air Chief Marshal Bhadoria, had said once, Shiv, that if we want to export our defense material, then we need to start using them ourselves. So unless you use it, you will not be in a position to sell it to others.
Thanks very much, Abhishek, for putting that into perspective for us. Very, very exciting to report all of these developments.